Dear friends, good morning to all. Today we are going to start the fourth chapter, that is classification and types of soil. And particularly we have to cover that is topic, that is land capability classification. As we know that every land have its own capacity to produce food crops, grains, cereals, fodder and many more. So every land have according to its quality and according to its depth, texture, according to the uh, any characteristics of the soil, there is a specification of the crops, and so there are various classes according to the capability. So which are these classes we have to see. So let us see land capability classification, which is put forth by the Klingbeil and Montgomery in 1961. Prerequisite and important for planning, implementation and execution of the work of soil and water conservation programs. As we know that whenever we have to plan any crop, to grow any crop, we have to do the planning, and so land capability classification helpful for that planning, as well as it is also helpful for the conservation programs. Next point is land capability classification is a systematic classification of different kinds of land according to those properties which determine the ability to land produce common cultivated crops and pasture plants virtually on permanent basis. It is written by Tejwan in 1976. So this is the reference regarding the capability of capability classification. As I already stated that each and every soil have its own properties and own characteristics and own capability. According to that, to determine the ability of the land to produce common cultivated crops, it is essential to do the land capability classification. Next point is made primarily for agricultural purpose, and I have already stated that it is the part of agricultural advantage or agricultural advancement, because whenever we do a land capability classification, definitely we can do the we can produce the crops according to that class or according to the suitable class which is suitable for the which crop. So these are the important points. Next one is consider a number of soil characteristics and associated land features and environmental factors. So no soil itself is not sufficient for producing any crop, but another supporting factors are also there which are associated, particularly the environmental factors are also there, and typically we are thinking climate. So this is also helpful whenever we do the land capability classification. The chief soil characteristics to be taken into account are texture, depth, permeability, salinity and alkalinity of soil and subsoil. Whenever we have to do the land capability classification of any field, we have to consider texture of that soil, depth of that soil, permeability, salinity and alkalinity of the soil, not only soil but of the subsoil even. The important associated land features are slope of land, effect of past erosion or susceptibility to erosion, natural soil drainage and frequency of overflow, etc. So these are associated features, land features, which are depend which are supporting or which can affect on the land capability. So these points are very important in the land capability classification. So whenever we have to think about the land capability classification, there is one scheme in the sense which classes are there and which subclasses are there. Capability classes, first one is capability classes. These are the broadest group of land and are designated by Roman numerals 1 to 8. Limitations on the land use increase with higher numbers. So these are the major groups or major classes, and these broad groups are designated by Roman numerals, Roman numbers, that is from 1 to 8. And as we go, as the number is increased, there is a limitations to do the agriculture, or there is a limitations to of the land use as the number get increased. Next scheme is capability subclass, represent the dominant limitation for agricultural use, E. So suppose 1 is a class, and if we put over here E, that is subclass. In the bracket here that is given, for example subclass 2E, 2E, 3E, 4E. So what it indicates is added to the capability class number when there is risk associated with the soil erosion. If any class or if any major group have a problem, have a risk associated with the soil erosion, then E is written over there. So the E letter is nothing but the subclass. Classes first and fifth rarely have the letter E because they are subject to little or no erosion. As I already stated that from class 1 to class 8 there is a no possibility of, or the limitations to use the land as the number is increased. And so from class 1 to class 5th there is have a letter because E letter is not there because there is no erosion. W is there, excess water, poor soil, drainage, water, wetness, high water table and overflow. Yes. If yes is there, soil limitations within rooting zone, shallowness, low WSC water holding capacity, low fertility, salinity, sodicity, etc. And if C is there, the climate or temperature or lack of moisture. Means whatever these letters are there, that indicates their characteristics or their properties, E, W, S and C. So this is about the capability subclass. Next is capability units. These are the soil groups within a subclass. The capability unit code provides information on the cause of the limitation. Capability units are generally designated by adding an Arabic numeral to the subclass code. For example, second, that is major group or main class, E, that is subclass, and 3, that is capability unit. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Likewise there is a numbers, and another one is third, E and 6. This is major class, subclass and unit. Indicates that the erodibility of these sites is caused by slow permeability and salt affected soil respectively. So what it indicates? It indicates that land capability classification scheme is very simple. There is only capability classes, capability subclasses, and according to that there are capability units. So using this scheme there is a classification done by the scientists. So land capability classification, now we have to see actual land capability classification, which land is suited for which agriculture or for which type of crop. So let us see first class or class first. Land is the best and most easily farmed land. It has few limitations that restricts its use. Means this is the first class is the very favorable, very means easy to farm, and because there are very few limitations which restricts to do the practice of agriculture. Class second is there. Land has moderate limitations that reduce the choice of crops. It needs simple soil and water conservation practices and requires some attention to soil management. So this is also very familiar, but there is a reduce for the choice of crops. It needs simple and soil water conservation practices and requires some attention to soil management. Class 3 had land has severe limitations for use, hence it needs intense soil and water conservation treatment and requires careful and soil management. Careful soil management. Graded terraces are made on moderate slope. Means as compared to these two, there are limitations, and we require to do the soil and water conservation treatment, and particularly there are terraces on the moderate slopes. So this is about the class 3. Next class is class so this class 5, ignore this one is in the 8th class. Class 5th, land has all the characteristics of class 1st land except for limitations of waterless and stoniness or rockiness or adverse climatic condition which make it unsuitable for cultivation of crops. However, for grazing, pasture development and forestry there are no limitations for the use. So in the class 5 there are limitations, and most of the time it is very similar as like a first class, but there are unsuitable for cultivation crops, and it is suitable only for grazing, pasture development and for forestry. Class 6 land has the same limitation as class 4 land except that they are more severe and the land is steeper. They have moderated limitations. So class 7 land has severe limitations for grazing and forestry. The land is very steep and very severely eroded, cut up into gullies, and is either too wet or too dry. The land is the best utilized under forest and permanent vegetation and for limited grazing. So as I already stated, as the number is increased, as the class is increased, there is a limitations for the practice of agriculture. And similarly we are looking over here that as the number is increased, class 7 that is very much eroded, very much having limitations, and it is only suitable for permanent vegetation or permanent forest and limited to the grazing, because grazing is also required some gentle slope, and the slopes are too much steep over here. Now next class is 8. Lands are very steep or rough or stony or barren. Rock, example is rock outcrops, sandy beaches, marshes, deserts and mine tailings, etc. So this is the tabular form of land capability class rating table. These are the serial numbers 1 to 8. As we go from class 1 to 8, we come to know that texture get changed, soil depth also increased, soil depth is also decreased over here, soil slope is increased, and this is all about the erosion class and symbol. So today we stop here. Thank you very much.